Welcome back, everybody. My name is Grace, or Gibby, whatever you prefer, and today I've got another Adventure Quest guide, and this is specifically a guide for the Necromancer Ringleader, but it's a guide, I've already done a guide, but this is a guide that you can do if you're a little bit under-leveled. The character I'm doing it on is level 120, and you'll just be seeing me going through the normal monsters of the quest in the background as I do this voiceover, and then we'll get to the boss. So the quest isn't too complicated. That being said, you're going to be facing monsters that are about 15 levels higher than you the whole quest, because it's meant to be started at level 135 or higher. So you have to be prepared for that. Now the best way to deal with these monsters, and there's a lot of earth monsters and darkness monsters. So what I recommend is having an earth misc that's defensive and a dark misc that's defensive. For dark, you can use liquid courage, it's very easy to get. And for Earth, there are many options, but some of them are Bell Shell for some sustain, Morning Star Helm in case you get dazed by the knights, etc. Or Father's Day Sock if you happen to have it. That's the one I ended up using for Earth. So, the main strategy against these monsters is to play defensively and use either the Mystic Retro Golden Axe to get lots of free resources for using light spells, but that only works if you're a mage. Or you can use a Sacred Paladin weapon for melee or ranged if you're a warrior or a ranger. The Sacred Paladin weapons heal you a lot, so you'll be totally safe to just tunnel against these monsters and slowly damage them down. You can also use your Paladin skills however you like, as long as you don't run out of resources. I was playing on a mage, and you can see I was experimenting with a couple of armors in the first couple of fights, but then I just switched to the Paladin armor, and everything went just fine. So you can do the whole quest in the level 70 Paladin armor, because it scales to level 120, which is close enough with all the extra bonuses it gets. As for stats, all you really need is 250 points in a main stat, and ideally some endurance is what I recommend. You can see that my stats were kind of scattered. I think I had 100 in charisma and luck and like 150 in endurance. So it really doesn't matter what you do as long as you have 250 of a main stat, although endurance will always keep you safer. So the basic monsters shouldn't give you much trouble if you use the Paladin armor and shield from Paladin armaments. This is the level 1 skill, and then you also use a defensive misc. That's what I recommend. Now the boss, I've gone in depth on his mechanics before, so I'll just do a quick run through. The Necromancer Ringleader is a pack monster. It has 2 minions and 1 boss. If you don't kill the minions, the boss gets a huge barrier before you can damage him, so you have to kill the minions first. Whenever you take a minion to 0 HP, the next turn it gains a little bit of health back, and if you don't kill it, the boss kills it and gets a big buff. You can stun the boss to prevent this, but stunning is inconsistent, so I don't recommend it. Finally, if you're not using the Paladin armor, he will seek between fire and dark, between your highest resistance. So it's very recommended to use the Paladin armor or the Retro Golden armor. I'm doing this on an adventurer. If you're a guardian, you have access to all of Paladin's abilities, so you can use your lean toggles and etc. to make yourself stronger. But as you can see, did this on an adventurer, there's no need for that. The last thing the boss does is he fears you if he has his SP attack ready. Liquid Courage helps resist that, as does the Paladin's base status resistance. Now there are lots of ways to kill a boss, but the simplest way, and it's slightly different if you're a mage versus if you're a ranger or warrior, and I'll explain that. I did the mage method. But the simplest way is to just spam the efficient inner light spell, so the cheapest inner light spell. If you're a mage, I recommend one of 2 weapons, either the Lion's Roar weapon from the Communicant Mastercraft set, which boosts your light spell damage by a lot, or the Mystic Retro Golden Axe from Yulger's shop, which returns you resources, both mana and SP, whenever you hit with a light spell. The Mystic Retro Axe is really strong, so is Lion's Roar, and what I also recommend is having a Sacred Paladin weapon as a backup if you need to tunnel like a turtle for a few turns and heal up your HP. Now for warriors and rangers, you can't use Lion's Roar or Mystic Retro Golden Axe because the spell, the Inner Light spell, does damage based off the weapon you're holding. So if you're holding a magic weapon, it does magic. A melee weapon, it does melee. So you need to be holding a melee or ranged weapon. For you guys, I simply recommend doing the Sacred Paladin weapon for your combat type because they're very strong and they'll heal you a lot. You won't have that built-in SP and mana regen from the Retro Golden Axe, which means you'll have to be a bit more careful with your resources than I was. So I was using all the most expensive stuff I could. You might have to turn off a couple of toggles, not have a guest out, maybe use Essence Orb if you have it to manage your spell casting. But aside from that, that's pretty much it. Use sun scales like Retribution. That skill if you have enough SP. If you don't, just slowly cast Inner Light until the boss dies. As you can see, it worked just fine for me, and it should work just fine for you as well. So let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if my explanation wasn't clear enough. And I hope this guide helps some people who are under-leveled in doing Paladin. Hope you have a great day. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace and love.